Housing Assistance for Teachers Grant Program. This program was started back in the 90s between Mississippi Home Corporation and Fannie Mae. Go through some of the program guidelines for you. This program was created through an act of legislation in order to assist teachers with closing costs and down payment assistance in some of the critical shortage areas in the state of Mississippi. Act of legislation was created, and Mississippi Home Corporation actually administers the program on behalf of the Department of Education. This actually is a grant for the teachers that if they agree to teach an additional 3 years in a school district that's allowable, then they can get up to $6,000 to cover their closing costs and down payment assistance. Each year, the State Board of Education actually determines what districts would be allocated in a specific school year. The borrowers would have to go through, or the teacher would actually have to go to a lender that's qualified under our guidelines to participate in the program. The teacher does not actually have to be the borrower, but the teacher, of course, has to live in the household that's being purchased. The person that's going to be approved for the loan, of course, is the borrower. They have to be credit ready. They have to be able to qualify for an FHA, VA, Rural Development, Fannie Mae, or Freddie Mac product. The teachers are going to be executing a loan agreement between themselves and the school district. And then also the Department of Education executes that document after the loan closes. This program has no income restrictions unless you want to put this grant with one of our other programs, MRB, MCC, or Smart 6. Any of those programs, this actual grant program can also be used in conjunction with those programs as well. If the teacher fulfills the 3-year contract or the loan agreement that they're executing on behalf of the grant program, the grant would be forgiven. A third of the grant is forgiven each year they satisfy that 3-year requirement. The borrower gets qualified. The lender actually reserves the assistance on their behalf with Mississippi Home Corporation. This program is handled manually, so there are documents that have to be emailed to us and mailed to us in order for us to approve the loan, register the loan, approve the loan, and we also send the funds to the closing table to disperse against their down payment and closing costs. One of the requirements of this program is that the borrower has to put at least 1% of their own money into the loan. Can't be a gift. That can include any POC items, earnest money that they put into the loan, or anything outside of the assistance that they need additionally in order to satisfy their closing requirements for down payment assistance and closing costs. They do also have to verify that they've got at least 1 month's reserves. So we ask for a copy of their current verification of deposit or bank statements to verify that they do have at least 1 month's reserves. This 1 month reserve, 1%, cannot be gifted. All right. The property that the teacher or the home buyer is purchasing has to be within the county that the school district is located in. This is part of the legislation, and that's something that cannot be changed. Okay. On our website, and I'll take you to our website, that's where the lender finds the program documents in order to participate in the program. We'll get through that in just a moment. The steps are to reserve the loan with us. The lender would fax the reservation form to us. We would actually reserve the loan in our system and email that reservation form back to the lender with a reservation number. The lender will then have to mail 2 documents that have to come to us that have requirement of a wet signature. That is the teacher's loan agreement And also there's a HAT application form. Those two documents have to have wet signatures, so those have to be mailed to Home Corp. And we'll go through that checklist in a moment. The first package that comes to Home Corporation is the reservation package after the loan's been reserved. Once the loan's reserved, we can provide that lender with an email that they can email some documents to us for us to get started. They can email this reservation package to us. And then once they get the compliance package, a portion of that can also be emailed to whoever that underwriter is on the loan. Or they can continue to fax that information to this number, the 601-718-462 27 number, and it'll be assigned to an underwriter. Now, the loan must close within 45 days if it's a new or existing residence. New meaning it hasn't been occupied in the first 12 months after it's been built, or you have 120 days to close if you're working through a proposed construction loan. But of course, this is not for construction financing. This is just when you get to your permanent loan, when you're doing your bridge loan, that's when this compliance package would be submitted to us for us to approve the loan. And then there are documents that have to come back to Home Corporation and within 15 calendar days from the closing date. Mississippi Home Corporation actually outsources the down payment assistance funds to the closing table, and then we are reimbursed by the Department of Education after the loan closes. So this closing package is critical in order for us to receive our funds back. Now, on that loan agreement, there again is a signature line for the Department of Education. That is not executed up front. This is a document that Home Corporation would actually submit to the Department of Education as a part of our reimbursement from them. Okay. This is my information and Cassie Arrender's. She is actually the admin for this program. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact her or myself. Let's see, I wanted to go back through a couple of things and I haven't got, okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna flip over to the website, mshomecorp.com. Once you get to this site, you point to the Lender Realtors link, go to your Lender Resources page, and then go to Housing Assistance for Teachers resource link. Here is where you're going to actually find your forms that we're going to go through and look at. Also, just so you know, anywhere within our website at the bottom of the page, please sign up for newsletters and updates. When you sign up here, you would fill in this information, select lenders, and then subscribe. This way, you'll get updates and notices to any of our programs. As those emails or bulletins go out, they would then be posted to the applicable program that bulletin would be applicable to. Our program manual, this is a PDF searchable document, so you can go through that program manual to find most of the answers that you're looking for. Again, you just do a find and search on a keyword. This is a program synopsis of the program itself. Below are the eligible districts for the specific school year, for this school year. You'll see that there are multiple pages included in this, so you would want to go through each list to try to locate your county or school district that are applicable. Now again, this list changes on an annual basis. So it's based on the Department of Education's fiscal year, which begins on July 1. And once we receive the updated list from the school district, then Mississippi Home Corporation will release the funds available to participate in the program. Up in the top left-hand side of any of our pages, you'll see this $sign. If you click on that $sign, that will show you what we have available in assistance funds for the teachers program. So you'll see here right now we're currently at $92,000. This is not to cover the full loan amount, of course. This is just to cover the grant assistance. Okay, so we'll scroll back over here. Now we're going to go through the actual documents. Again, the first document that comes to Home Corporation is the reservation form. This document is a PDF. All of the documents are PDF fillable except for the loan agreement. That is a Department of Education program document, so we don't have any control over the form itself. So you would fill out this information from your lender company name, lender branch address, contact phone number, fax, email address. We need your email so we can contact you if there's any conditions that apply, and also to send this form back to you with a reservation number, knowing that you've actually got a reservation. The borrower's information. This is very simple, fill in the blank information. The assistance amount. I would suggest highly that you reserve the full $6,000, even if you think you may not need the full $6,000. Again, they're not going to automatically get $6,000. It's all based on what their closing costs are, what their 1% contribution is, what our 2% contribution plus any of the closing costs. Excuse me. Go ahead though and reserve the full $6,000 because that available funds will go very, very quickly. So you don't want to risk us running out of. Okay, we need to know what loan type you're going to use. This has to be a conforming loan. On the PowerPoints, you saw that they could do 20 or 30 year. You can actually do 20, 25, 30 year first mortgage loan. Now, if you're putting it with one of our other products, MRB, MCC, Smart 6, those are 30-year loans. So this would have to be a 30-year conforming loan with the lender if you're putting it with one of those other programs. Otherwise, this is meeting your guidelines, 20, 25, 30-year loan. So fill in the blanks. You may not know who the closing agent is at that time, and that's okay. This is not actually applicable at this time. You'll see on the reservation checklist form, it's going to be this reservation form. You're going to be sending us a checklist. You're going to send us a copy of your sales contract. Make sure that contract has a good closing date on it. If there is a date that is expired, we're going to require an addendum to that contract be done prior to us approving the loan. We need a copy of your 1003, full 1003, a copy of the teacher's employment contract, a copy of the homebuyer education certificate. Now, homebuyer education is required on all of our products, and it's a upfront doc, again, within 10 calendar days of the reservation. So make sure that they've actually gotten that course completed. They can use any online course. They can use MGIC, any of the MI companies, frameworks, Credit Smart, HUD counseling. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face counseling. We just want a copy of the certificate. If by chance they've taken this class or taken a class sometime prior to coming to you, just make sure that certificate is not over a year old. Okay. Go back and we're going to go to the actual checklist. All right. This is the actual checklist of complete items of what we're going to need in order to approve the loan. The reservation package, of course, and then the compliance package. Compliance package consists of this checklist. There's, again, this is a wet signature document called a HAT application. We'll take a look at that as well. Of course, we'll need your transmittal summary or loan analysis or 1008. Make sure that loan amount is good, and if there's any changes to loan amount or rates, then we would, of course, require an updated form and document if you're changing anything. We need a copy of your loan estimate. We need a verification of employment for the teacher and for the, excuse me, for the credit qualifying borrower if it's not the teacher. We need a current VOD, verification of deposit, or the most current bank statement. This is to verify that they have the 1 month reserve requirement. The original executed Mississippi Employer Loan Agreement. Again, the HAT application and the loan agreement are original signed documents. We don't allow wet e-signatures on these documents. They have to be a wet signature. So this document and the HAT application would need to be mailed to MHC before we could actually approve the loan. Of course, we need a copy of the appraisal. We're going to need a copy of a preliminary closing disclosure. This is where the majority of the problems occur, because we know that closing costs change from time to time up until the time of closing. We can't approve a loan and wire funds unless this is a good number, a good CD. So if there are any changes made to that closing disclosure after we have issued our approval, we will mandate that that attorney stop the closing until we get a good final copy of what the closing disclosure is going to equate to. We use that form in order to calculate what the closing costs are, to verify that they've put 1% of their own funds into the loan, to verify what our grant amount is going to be. So if any changes occur, make sure we get this document sent to us via email to the underwriter on my side to make sure that we get that loan, the grant amount right the first time. We have an attorney information form, and of course we need the wiring instructions in order to wire the funds to the closing table. Notification of change, that's if there are certain items or certain things that are going to be changing. We of course would want that document submitted to us while we're reviewing the loan for approval. I will mention on the loan agreement, depending on the school district, each district has their own requirements of who is authorized to sign on behalf of that school district. Home Corporation does not have those guidelines for each county school district. So the teacher would need to make sure when they're executing this document that they're having it executed by the appropriate personnel. Certain counties require a board member to sign, and if that's the case, then some board meetings don't occur but once a month, so that could really affect your closing. So make sure that's executed properly, and you know this information prior to sending this stuff to us. The closing package, again, after the loan is closed, we need a copy of the first mortgage note, the deed of trust, and a copy of the executed closing disclosure. And we use this along with the loan agreement and a copy of your loan application to send to the Department of Education after the loan closes for us to get reimbursed for that loan. Okay, back over to forms. The teacher application form. This is the document that you're going to use to calculate what the assistance amount will be. Okay. Again, it requires an original signature from the originator. So this requires a wet signature. I cannot accept your e-signs. Completing the information for your loan, for your company information, the teacher's information, the district that's a school district that's applicable, the borrower's name, if it's different than the teacher, the 1% amount. This is calculated on your sales price. So whatever that sales price is, that's their 1% contribution into the loan. Again, that can be earnest money, can be POCs, or any leftover funds that we can't cover over the $6,000. In order to calculate the assistance, you give us the full loan amount. That includes your mortgage insurance, what your rate and term is. Again, the district that the school, the teacher is working in. You'll calculate 2% of the sales price. That's what Home Corp will put in to help with the down payment. So our 2% and their 1% won't even meet FHA's requirements of 3.5%. Okay, so keep that in mind. All other borrowers' costs. Again, this is coming from this closing disclosure. And this excludes the 1%. So we've already calculated what that 1% amount contribution is. Then you're going to total up what the costs are outside of that 1% contribution, and then you can put the total amount here, but know that the maximum amount of the grant is only $6,000. So you would again come down here and verify that you would want the $6,000. If it's less, then put the correct amount here, print your name, and execute this document. And this again has to be mailed to Mississippi Home Corporation. All right. The attorney information form. It's a pretty simple form giving us the attorney, title company that's going to be closing this loan. This loan amount should match your transmittal summary, loan analysis, or 1003. If it doesn't, then we're going to condition the loan for that. And be sure to attach your wiring instructions. If we don't have the wiring instructions for the agent title company, then we won't be able to wire the funds to the closing. This closing date is also very important. Make sure you're giving us a good closing date. Our accounting department requires us to give them 2 days to turn their process around to wire the funds to the closing table. Okay. Notification of change form looks like most of our other forms, filling out the information applicable to the loan. This is used, of course, if you're going to decrease or increase a loan amount, or decrease or increase the amount of the grant, knowing that you can't go over the 6th. If for some reason your if the property doesn't qualify, or something happens with that original sales contract, they can keep the reservation and change the property, go get another sales contract. Of course, that's going to affect your loan amount, or it's going to affect your grant amount due to the costs for the different property. If for some reason the loan is not going to work for one reason or another, then we would want you to notify us that that loan is going to be canceled. You can sign this. This does not require a wet signature. Okay, the last document we're going to take a look at is the actual loan agreement that the teacher is executing. Again, this is not a fillable format document. We don't have the authority to make that change to this form since it's not our form. So the loan agreement is telling the teacher that they are agreeing to teach in the current school year when the loan's being closed, and then for another additional 2 years. So they have to meet a 3-year requirement. If they don't satisfy that 3-year requirement, a portion of that grant is going to be due and payable back to the Department of Education. It doesn't come back to Home Corporation. It would go back. This agreement's between themselves and the school district. So please let them know, and this document states this, that if they don't satisfy that 3-year requirement, they need to contact the Department of Education to reimburse them for the remaining portion of that assistance. But after the 3 years is passed and they satisfy that compliance guideline, then the grant would be forgiven. And that, again, is between them and the Department of Education. Mississippi Home Corporation actually does maintain the compliance that the teacher is meeting the requirements. So once the loan closes, another area of Mississippi Home Corporation will send that teacher a letter to let them know that they need to provide Home Corporation on an annual basis each contract, their new contracts. So we're determining whether they're meeting the compliance, and if they don't, then we report that information to the Department of Education. Okay, this document fully states all of that information. Here are the events of default, or what they're called, events of default. The amount that's going to be calculated, we actually would calculate that for the teacher within a letter to notify them that they've not met the 3-year requirement, and how much money would be due back to the Department of Education. So this document is executed by the teacher and it's notarized, again, a wet signature. Then the school district, also a wet signature, no e-signs. The third place, again, as I mentioned, was for the Department of Education. This is not executed up front. This is blank when it comes to Home Corporation. We are the ones that actually send this document to the Department of Education, and they hold that document on file on their side. Well, that's basically all there is to the Housing Assistance for Teachers grant. It's a really simple program. Again, the times when we seem to have the most problems are when you're calculating that assistance for the teacher, and if there are any changes on the closing disclosure as to the cost. Again, if we find when we get a closing package back and we see that final CD, if figures have changed, there is potential for HomeCorp not to be able to be reimbursed, and we're probably going to come back to the lender for that. So if that occurs, that's why it's imperative that the closing disclosure we get has correct information on it. If you have any additional questions about the program, please feel free to reach out to myself or Cassie Arender or any of the underwriters here at HomeCorp. And the information that's applicable to the program, again, you can find within our program manual. But if you can't find the answers you're looking for, feel free to call us. Just FYI, if this is your loan, you're not putting it with any of our other products, we don't mandate a credit score. That's going to be dependent upon you, your guidelines, and your investor's guidelines for that first mortgage loan if you're not holding that first mortgage. So you would follow their guidelines. Same for debt to income ratios as well. But please, again, feel free to contact us if you have any questions at all that pertain to the program. And we appreciate your participating with HomeCorp in this program. Thank you very much.